Hi again. I'm going to formally introduce myself. I'm Likhitha. I work as a bioinformatics developer, and we provide genome annotations as part of the Ensembl project. Yeah. So today I'm going to talk about our work on speeding up variant annotation in the Ensembl Variant Effect Predictor using Nextflow. So analyzing genomic variants is essential in terms of patient care, surveillance, and treatment outcomes. And the Ensembl Variant Effect Predictor is a powerful tool set for analysis, annotation, and prioritization of genomic variants. It predicts variant effects on the gene using several algorithms and reference data. It can get tricky when the input file is large. And imagine a scenario when you've been running the tool for about a week and it errors out on the last day. That's not ideal. So we've come up with wrapping the variant effect predictor using Nextflow. Nextflow Ensemble Web Pipeline was released in April 2022. It currently supports multiple job schedulers, including LSF and Slurm. And we made use of containerized images to remove the overhead of setup and installation issues. The parallelization was initially supported at a chromosome level, but because it was not a balanced parameter, we shifted to something called a bin size. So depending on the bin size, the file is split accordingly. And it turned out to be scalable and faster compared to our traditional pipelines. To give you an example, about 7 million variants took about 48 hours. It was previously taking a week for us to annotate 7 million variants. And Nextflow's resume functionality allows continuation of the workflow from the last successful step, as you might know. So that's useful. To give you an idea about the pipeline itself, so the pipeline takes an input variant file, and it performs some processing, pre-processing, and data validation checks. And depending on the user parameter or a default given bin size, it splits the input file into multiple sub inputs or sub files, and then runs Ensembl Web on those multiple sub files, and finally merges it into one single output file. So we initially, and this is one of my first projects, so it is kind of special in that way. And we initially started off with handling the use case with a single input and a single configuration file. So the Ensembl Web can take a configuration file. But as we continue developing, we realized that we have to handle many more use cases. So in terms of annotating pan-genome assemblies, we wanted multiple configuration files having different assembly information in those configuration files, but starting with a single reference data. We also wanted to do some benchmarking, and something like benchmarking required testing it on multiple input files and so on. We are still in progress regarding supporting both multiple input and multiple configuration files. This was a bit tricky, so we are still working on that. Some of the optimizations and enhancements that happened since we started were, first of all, like I mentioned, we converted taking chromosome as the input, and we shifted to splitting by bin size. And often these pipelines generate a lot of intermediate files by the tool. While there is a way to clear up the work folder post the run, there was nothing that I was aware of to clear out the space while the process was happening. So we used AfterScript to remove those files as the process was happening. And for the merging step, we initially used BCF tools, but it turned out that the there was a strategy to sort within Linux sort, which was better in terms of speed. So we improved the merging strategy with that. And in terms of user experience, like I already mentioned, we improved the use cases that we were going to handle. And the pipeline currently supports non-compressed and non-indexed files as well. We now support relative paths in both the input and config files. and we declared the workflow as a sub-workflow, so it can be invoked by other pipelines. You must have enjoyed the talk by my colleague Nuno, which was about protein function prediction. So after running the data using the protein function prediction, it can be run with Ensembl Nextflow Web to annotate on the variants. So that's one way of using this pipeline in the downstream pipelines. Coming to our future work, we want to improve our unit tests and utilize NF tests for that. We would like to extend support to cloud and Kubernetes deployments. While this is not in our immediate plans, we would like to look into it. And we want a better managing and reporting tool in order to manage the Nextflow pipelines. So we would like to integrate it with Nextflow Tower. And that's all I had. Thank you, everyone who has supported me, especially the funders as well. Thank you.